What's going on, guys? This is Evelyn here. And today I am bringing you my PPL D2 Season 2 Week 7 match against AmazingChi and the Newcrustle United. As always, this is a little reminder to watch my team analysis video if you want to know what I'm doing and why I'm doing things. Also, do check out Chi's channel and Twitch. He's a cool guy and makes things and stuff. Links to things will be in the description. I don't think there's much else to say here, so let's just look at the team he brought. There's Crocodile, Latios, Blastoise, Jolteon and Entei. So that's 5 out of 6 things I expected to see. I was quite surprised to not see Clefable, to be honest, but this just made me feel better about the Maymay gimmick. Also, in the chat we have Shardy complimenting my shiny hunting skills. I decide to lead with Darm, because a Scarfer with U-turn is usually a good lead. She leads with Latios, which sort of made me think it might be Scarfed. I follow rule 5 of Pokemon here and make no dumb predictions and just switch into Scissor, which takes that Draco like an absolute champ. Seen Maymay here. At this point I was debating whether U-turn or Pursuit was my better play, but I felt like him staying in at -2 was pretty unlikely, so I go for the Pursuit and do a pretty good amount of damage, as Chi brings in his Entei. Now, as is customary with my team, I don't really have a safe switch in for that. However, I knew that a Sacred Fire would do a ton to even the things that resist it, so I figured he wouldn't go for extreme speed on a Scissor. And so I switch into Darm, which just casually takes 2/3 from a resisted hit. That damage told me that he was banded, though, which was incredibly useful knowledge. I go for the safe Earthquake here, which does an okay bit of damage to Blastoise. I don't want Darm to go down here obviously, so I switch out into Mrs. Maymay and she reveals the Aqua Jet. I decide to just go for the safe-ish Energy Ball here, because, if I get Blastoise below half, Gator will be able to sweep. Unfortunately for us, though, she doesn't want Blastoise getting damaged, and brings in his Entei, which chews the Energy Ball. Now HP ground from this range actually had a chance to kill, depending on investment, and I knew Mrs. Maymay would outspeed him, if he was running Adamant for extreme speed. It seemed pretty worth staying in, as either I'd get off a lot of damage or he'd have to lock himself into extreme speed. He does exactly that, taking down Mrs. Maymay. I bring in Scissor. Even though I knew for sure that he was banded, doing that still felt super scary. He switches out into Crook, which takes a ridiculous amount of damage, even with a -1 Scissor. This had me running to my calcs, as I thought that amount of damage had to indicate an offensive Crook. What the calc showed me was that he'd need at least a considerable bit of HP investment for that damage, which meant Darm could freely come in and kill this thing. This was the most difficult choice of the entire match for me. I thought about what to bring in for, I think, over a minute and a half. Everything would bait in something I didn't want to see brought in. Ultimately, I decide to go into Thundurus, knowing he'd likely go into Jolteon, but also knowing I'd be able to take even a Specs Thunder. He goes for a Hidden Power, which is super effective and does an impressive amount to Thundy, as my Dark Pulse doesn't really do all that much. Calling this was incredibly inconclusive, so I decided to just make the safe play and go into Scissor, knowing that he didn't have HP Fire to hit it. Sizz absolutely eats up that HP Ice, and Chi Volt switches out, getting a crit in the process. I clicked Pursuit, which in my calcs, had a good chance to take out the Jolteon. However, it lives on 9%, which was really unfortunate. He brings out his Entei again and I decide to sack Scissor. In my mind, I needed Thundurus for Blastoise and Articuno, and while keeping Scissor alive, for priority would have been nice, I felt like this was the better choice. My PP does an okay amount, considering Entei's bulk and the fact that it's resisted. She locks Entei into Sacred Fire, Sizz goes down and I bring in the New Day. Going for Maymaymento here wasn't a good idea, as he had a 50% chance to burn Gator afterwards, so I just killed the trapped dodge with Earthquake instead, figuring that, if he brought in Latios I could still sack off Thundurus and Maymaymento something else. But, he goes into Articuno. Another long, hard thinking was ahead. Either he'd go for a nice move to safely take out Dugtrio, Hurricane to hit most of my team hard, or HP ground on a Darm switch in. I figured it was worth going into Darm, as he sets up a Tailwind. My heart actually stopped for a moment there. This was bad. I'd have to let Darm and Thundurus go down to stall out Tailwind and then hope to stall out the last turn on some switch prediction involving Jolteon. So I stay in with Darm, clicking Flare Blitz and hoping for the best. He switches into Blastoise. Flare Blitz would actually be a 2-hit KO from there. Scarf Darm outspeeds in Tailwind, right? No, Evelyn, you idiot, you know he has Aqua Jet. Darm goes down. However, Blastoise is in range of an Earthquake from Dugtrio. This can be saved. I called this, and unless he was banded, Aqua Jet wouldn't have killed. Except Darm put it in torrent range. Aquajet kills Dud Trio. Well, this is looking bad. I'll just have to hope that I won't get burned. She goes for another Aquajet. I set up agility. Maybe he was thinking I'd tried to take him out, and was trying to get some extra damage in before that, or maybe he simply didn't have scald. Watch his side of this to find out. I can't win this without the attack boost. ISD up, as he brings in Jolteon. I remember actually saying no, you're not Scarf at this Jolteon, hoping to calm myself a bit. Crunch takes out Jolteon. Waterfall takes out Articuno. Aquajet doesn't kill. Crunch takes out Blastoise. Crunch takes out Latios. Good game, Chi. This was absolutely nerve-wracking. My hands were actually shaking for most of the second half of the battle. Herdier Bremen came out on top of this one. Depending on how his game goes this week, we might be above right in the league table again next week. And in the end, that's all that really matters at this point. Next week, we are facing one and the Amityville Haunters. And we will fight. Owens. Fight. See y'all there.